Footballers are some of the highest paid athletes in the world, but that doesn't mean they're filthy rich.
The money's gone, the money's irrelevant. I lost time. You lose time with the kids.
For some players, despite all the millions they earned, they managed to become bankrupt after their playing careers. So let's have a look at some footballers who lost everything. Stick around as we reveal one player who lost everything due to a death they couldn't get over. Even the great Ronaldinho Gaucho couldn't manage his finances as well as he would have liked. Imagine how lucrative those contracts at Barcelona and AC Milan were. And yet, in the years following his retirement, he faced a staggering $1.7 million tax bill. The legend himself, known for his mesmerizing skills on the pitch, found himself dealing with financial mismanagement. He spent loads of money on alcohol and parties and was never the same after leaving Milan in 2011. Legal issues soon caught up with him, and in 2018, he saw his passport and properties confiscated as he was unable to settle the unpaid taxes. He was left with only £5 in his bank account. In 2020, he tried to enter Paraguay with a fake passport and was subsequently detained. He couldn't even explain why he used a fake passport to enter and was put in prison. He has since been released, but he is broke. But not as bad as this next player, who lost more than just his money. Keith Gillespie is a retired Northern Irish footballer who played as a wing and did pretty well as a footballer. Gillespie was part of the famed youth class of '92, alongside players like Ryan Diggs, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, and others. He played for Manchester United and Newcastle United, which meant he earned quite a large sum of money during his career. But he lived a crazy life in Newcastle and was regularly gambling, drinking, and even cheating on his wife. It went downhill in no time when he was declared bankrupt in 2010 at the age of 35. He racked up a £7 million loss from gambling, but it was just one of his problems. Gillespie enjoyed his night out drinking and sleeping around. He was caught by his wife, who decided to leave him a few years later. Declaring bankrupt and being divorced, he later published a book titled How Not to Be a Football Millionaire to share his life story. But when it comes to gambling, this next player takes the cake for an addiction of over 30 years. Former Arsenal player Paul Merson not only had an alcohol and drug addiction, he suffered from a gambling addiction for most of his life. He had worked on these flaws and had it under control. But that's the thing with addiction, they can always come back. Merson started gambling at a young age of 16 and battled his illness throughout his life. He spoke about his gambling addiction in 2019, where he lost a whopping £7 million. But the urge of gambling was relentless for him, and he relapsed during COVID. COVID hit him really hard. He had saved £160,000 to get a house for his family, but blew it during the pandemic by betting on table tennis games. He courageously opened up to his gambling problems and how he lost everything. But thankfully, things seem to be looking well with a punditry role in football today. Diego Maradona needs no introduction. He was a god on the field, and the people of Argentina worshipped him like a religion, but not as much as those in Italy. In the 90s, when he was playing for Napoli, his stature grew and had earned plenty through endorsements as well, and had this knack for living large. But investigations began for taxes that were unpaid for years. Maradona owed $40 million in Italy. And the best part, he claimed he didn't know he had to pay them. His belongings were confiscated whenever he paid Italy a visit. For over 30 years, he had been evading taxes until his death in 2020. Then there's the addiction side of things. He was battling with drug abuse as well as exorbitant medical bills that he racked up for being in and out of the hospital frequently with health issues. He had a bumpy life. But unlike others, he did not suffer financially, but emotionally and mentally. He passed on due to a heart failure after a brain surgery. Speaking of a bumpy life, Ronaldo Nazario lost his entire career because of one bump. He didn't really lose his money, but lost pretty much everything else because of his lifestyle. R9 was a beast in his prime, and even won the Ballon d'Or twice in his career. But it was at Real Madrid that he started losing it. He was making so much money and started partying so hard that he missed trainings and stopped working out. Real Madrid let him go, but it only made things worse. He ended up in AC Milan, but did not last one full season. His lifestyle was so bad that very soon, his body couldn't take it. He ruptured his knee again during a game for Milan and was sidelined for a long period. During that time, he discovered he developed a condition called hypothyroidism, a condition which slows down metabolism and causes weight gain. He ended his playing career at Corinthians, but he could never get back in shape ever. Well, at least he did not consume any substance to maintain those metabolism like this next player. Paul Pogba is no doubt a talented midfielder, and one of the best when he's on form.
Blocked by Xhaka, hit by Pogba!
But it started to go downhill when playing for Manchester United for a second time. In 2022, he spoke about experiencing depression while being in and out of the starting 11. To make things worse, he was involved in a bizarre controversy that included his brother, his childhood friends, and witchcraft doctors. Matthias Pogba, Paul Pogba's brother, released a video claiming Paul was using witchcraft and wanted to make great revelations about Paul's conduct. In response, Paul claimed that he was physically extorted for money by the said individuals, but he could carry on playing football, this time for Juventus. But he was always injured and was recently found guilty of doping after failing a drug test. He tested positive for testosterone metabolites and has been punished with a 4-year ban from football. At only 30 years of age, we can safely say his career has ended. But the saddest story of a footballer who lost everything belonged to Adriano. Adriano may not be the talk of the town when the likes of Ronaldinho and Ronaldo were playing, but he was definitely one of the most exciting talents then. Known for his devastating left foot, Adriano won the 2004 Copa America with Brazil and helped Inter Milan win 4 league titles. But disaster soon struck. He lost his father, who died of a heart attack in 2004, and that changed everything. He suffered from depression and turned to alcohol. It was so bad that at one point he couldn't fall asleep without getting drunk. He was so devastated that he didn't want to train, and he became awful. The media came out to say how Adriano became an alcoholic and a drug abuser, which didn't help his cause. In reality, it was the death of his father that effectively ended his career. Long-serving hero Javier Zanetti spoke of the struggles his former teammate faced in the aftermath of his father's tragic passing, and revealed that he and the club did not succeed to pull him out of depression. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to check out this video on how footballers can have their careers ruined. See you there.